Yo, what is up guys, Delirium here, and in today's video I'm going to give you a ton of top Atlas passive trees and currency strategies. You guys have asked me, so I figured, why not go ahead and deliver as many as possible. Alright, so where do these trees come from though? Maybe Grimro doesn't have enough time to test all that stuff. Well, to answer that question, I brought some of the smartest minds in softcore trade, some of the biggest blasters together. I brought Crouching Tuna, Elishar, and myself, and we came up with a big fat list of strategies, and we went over the Atlas passive trees together and worked on them as a trio to make sure that they were tip top and pretty damn good. Maybe there's a few mistakes in there, let me know down in the comments, but overall I think the trees should shape up pretty well, and we've done a good amount of these strategies ourselves, and we've used our intuition and experience to construct the rest. And overall I think you guys should have a pretty good experience with all of the strategies I'm about to talk about and show you. Alright, so let's dive into what I'm calling the Wolf of Wraeclast spreadsheet here. So this is a new creation that we're kind of going to have going on this league. It's essentially a spreadsheet which is going to contain some of the hottest and the best strategies that we can find, with full setups, the tree links, and eventually guides to them as well if you're interested in more detail on a specific strategy, as well as variants and alternations that you can make to the strat. But in addition to that, this special spreadsheet is now ripping data off of PoE Ninja and TFT. What's it's ripping? Well, it's ripping all the price data of everything live. And what we're going to do with that data is we're going to test out these strategies, do like 100 maps, record all the loot, and hook it up to those live prices. So basically what you're going to get is a live ticker of how profitable the strategies are based on our personal farm. So, if we did 100 Legion maps with this setup, we got all the loot, we sorted it all out, and we've got it all getting tracked live against the prices, well, you'll be able to see how much is going to be made from that strategy in live time, and you'll be able to pick which strat is most profitable for you and your character. That's the general gist of this spreadsheet. So we're going to be coming back to this multiple times a league to kind of update it and add new additions. And I think it's going to be a really, really fun time and a really great way to spend the league. All right, so what are we doing in this video though? Well, I'm going to go through all the strats here that we've got cooked up for you guys. And I'm going to explain, the choices, how to run them, and what kind of loot you can expect to get, and kind of what you're going to have to be selling, and all sorts of stuff like that. So we've got it split up into 4 categories here. We've got high investment, medium investment, low investment, as well as untested. Now, obviously, those sound pretty self-explanatory, so I probably don't need to go in there. Let's dive straight into the nitty-gritty. Of course, this will be linked down below, so go check that out. Alright, first up we got Delirium Orbs, something I've covered on this channel before. Now it's fair to say Delirium Orbs are going to be a mainstay of this league. There's tons of them around, Delirium is on the map device, and everyone is just getting a ton of Delirium Orbs due to the new Atlas passives. Someone's got to use them, and why not have it be you? If you're up to the task and you're ready to do some orbs, this is a very profitable strategy, but it's quite expensive. To get some of the more profitable orbs, like the skittering orbs, I did a bit of a calculation here, and overall the total materials for this map per map is 106C, because that's a lot. It's not for everybody, but you'll make that money back and some if you do run it, or at least we're gonna have that kind of be our mission to determine. So I've run this strat before. It was really, really great for me. The orbs are about the same price as they were before, and with this setup you're gonna get many, many more times rewards than I did, due to the fact that it's a much more kind of intense investment strat, because it's using the fill faster compass as well as beyond and additional breaches here, and upgraded scarabs. Now I think this is probably going to be a really, really solid strategy for people who have one of the belts, the chase belts, or an inspired learning, or just like a really, really strong character, or something along the lines of explode, like on a flask, on the chest, or on a bow, or something like that. And it's going to be a really powerful one for you. So we'll quickly go over it, talk a little bit about it. So Delirium Orbs are a high investment strategy which are super duper difficult but super duper rewarding. So you're going to be doing it on the Strand map, and you're going to be running Polished or Gilded Breach, Polished or Gilded Abyss, Polished Breach, Rusted or Polished Harbinger, Rusted or Polished Ambush. You're going to be using Breach on the Kirak modifier on the bench. You're going to be using for your compasses Abyss, Breach, Delirium Orbs, Fill Faster, and Beyond. Now when you're securing materials for your strategy, specifically compasses, I would highly highly recommend using the Forbidden Trove Discord server. It makes things far easier when you're buying in bulk. So make sure you buy those compasses over there, and it's gonna be a much better time for you. All right, let's take a quick look at the tree, and I'll explain the basics here. Sorry for the flashbang, I can't help it. All right, so the general gist of it is that you're taking basically as many monsters as possible in your map to fill up as many Delirium reward bars as possible. So this is basically completely focusing on Breach, Abyss, and a little bit of Harbinger here and there, as well as the impactful Delirium nodes on the tree. Now, whenever you run into a tree and it's got too many points here for you, just trim off anything which you think might not be too impactful. So for example, in this strategy here, maybe you don't want to run the Beyond, so you can trim off those 2 points there. Maybe you don't really care about unique jewels or really, the unique bosses in Delirium. You can trim those points off there and just kind of use your intuition and make sure you trim off stuff which you think, okay, that doesn't seem too crazy. That seems like the final points they put in. I can't really afford that right now. Maybe I'll get the points later, and you can just cut that off. That's kind of a good way to look at it. Everything else though is pretty cookie cutter. I think this is a pretty good tree for people running Delirium Orbs, and I'm definitely going to go back to this one and try it myself once I have a character with a ton of Explode, which can absolutely shred through the Delirium. So this is a pretty nice one, highly recommend. In terms of the actual orbs that you guys should be using, go ahead and take a look at Skittering Delirium Orbs, Cartographer's Delirium Orbs, and Diviners. If they're too expensive on trade, you can buy really bad Delirium Orbs and then re-roll them yourself using Harvest Juice, using the Delirium Orb recipe here. You see it takes 30 per orb, and you can just spam re-roll those into really good orbs. Any of the three that I mentioned there most likely will be giving you quite a big juicy profit, and I think you guys are gonna have a pretty good time with it. I know that I did when I did it, and the orbs are pretty much around the same price, so overall it should be pretty good. In terms of the loot that you'll be getting from the Delirium Orb strat, well, it really depends on the orb. One thing I can tell you though is do not loot individual simulacrum splinters in this strategy. It's going to take up way too much time. Focus on your traditional loot from your altars and stuff like that, as well as the loot from your orbs. So maps, scarabs, and divination cards and stacked decks, and that's going to be Delirium Orbs. All right, let's move on. Legion. Let's get into it. All right, so Legion, another fan favorite here, but we've modified the tree a little bit. So in my previous video, I covered Legion with Harbinger. We've dropped the Harbingers here in favor of making it a little bit cheaper and affordable, and in addition to that, also making it faster and easier to run. So we ditched the Harbingers to make it cheaper, but also picked up Shrines to make it easier. So one thing that is difficult about Legion is it's really tough to get out the, crack the full thing. Now there is actually a tech out there which allows you to do so much easier, and it's going to make your maps so much more fun and so much faster and a lot less difficult. Even if you're playing a build like Poisonous Concoction or Caustic Arrow, this set of technology which we're including now is going to make it so much easier for you. It's essentially going to give you a free Headhunter as well as a free Explode chest if you run the map correctly. So what's the tech? Well, we're still running Legion on Dunes. We're still using some pretty similar scarabs. We're using either a Polished or Gilded Legion, a Polished Cartographer, and 2 Sack Frags, but now we're rolling Kirak Domination. So the Kirak modifier here with Domination is going to give you an additional 3 shrines in your maps. Now, the traditional shrines give you stuff like defense, speed, damage, and stuff along those lines. In addition to that though, we're using the additional Legion Compass as well as the Gloom Shrine Compass. The Gloom Shrine Compass essentially gives you a shrine which is going to allow you to explode big packs of monsters. And the AoE on this thing is absurd, and it's going to really help you shatter those legions effectively. And basically the gameplay of this strategy is now going to be to come into the map, start clearing it, leave the pylons alone until you find the Gloom Shrine, and then after you have the shrines on you, make a beeline to all the pylons in the map and shatter all of them in succession. This is going to make sure that if you have like an Inspired Learning or a Headhunter belt or something like that, you're going to stack all those belts up really easy. And in addition to that, it's going to make sure that you have all the shrines on you, and you're going to be able to rip through all of the legions with those shrines for basically free. And it's going to be really nice and really easy. Now the tree basically just takes all the Legion nodes and all the Shrine nodes. These Shrine nodes basically give you just so many shrines, and then you also get to double the amount of shrines on you with this node here, as well as increasing the duration and the effect of them. So when you have those shrines on you, you are going to feel like an absolute beast. So this is the new Legion tech. It's much lower investment, and it's also much easier and much chiller, and you're going to overall have a great time with it. Now you're going to see here that we do also have 2 any usable compasses. So what does this mean? Well, basically what what we're asking you to do here is basically have a big stack of Awakened Compasses, Awakened Sextants, or maybe you can buy them, maybe you can sustain them from your Exarch Altars or anything along those lines, but basically just have some on hand and basically roll 2 of them first. So roll, like your 2 compasses and see what you get. If you get something which is really, really good, which you can't use, make sure to use a charged compass on that and sell it. But what you're looking for here is basically any sort of additional monsters, like additional fire monsters, chaos monsters, even another shrine. Maybe like you get possessed monsters drop scarabs or something along those lines. Anything like that is really, really good. Just by using the sextants, you're actually going to be generating money. Right now, just by rolling the sextants and bottling up anything that's good and selling it, it's a profit. So you basically get all of the sextants which you actually do want on your maps, like the monsters and the extra stuff like that, for free. And that's going to convert into more currency as well as more map sustain, so more money in the long run. Now, I'd pretty much basically going to say that most people are going to sustain their Awakened Sextants for the most part, unless it's like a 4 sextant strategy, which we'll get into in a little bit here. But it's definitely highly advisable to use it in this case because it really does work really well with a Polished Cartographer Scarab. So again, we're not doing anything crazy. We have the sextant nodes up here, so you can pretty much sell anything that you do roll. And we also have the Seance nodes here, so if you do roll a possessed monster scarab, or map or unique compass or sextant there, you can make use of that as well. So overall, roll those sextants up. It's gonna be a pretty damn good time. And this tree is absolutely gonna make you move way, way faster through Legion. And it's also gonna make it a lot easier for you, and you can enjoy all the cash that comes with that strategy. So in terms of the actual incubators though, you'll remember though that part of the strategy is using them on cooldown basically. Make sure you focus on the ornate ones as well as the diviners, and you can also throw in scarab there if you run out of those 2, and those are going to be the ones that you're going to really want to be using to make sure that you increase your profits. You can go ahead and sell all the rest or hide them on your filter if you want. All right, let's move on to the next one, a fresh one, the Delirium Mirror. A bit of a classic and a mainstay in Path of Exile, but made significantly harder in the new patch, actually. So, Delirium Mirrors are traditionally the best friend of Breach and Abyss, and nothing changes with the immense buff to those mechanics. You can see here that we've fully spec'd into both Breach and Abyss, and taken all the nodes we can, while also picking up the really impactful Delirium nodes. Now, the thing about the new Delirium Mirror, you still run it just like you did before. You're going to be running it on Strand with Polished Abyss, Polished Breach, Rusted Ambush, and a Sack Frag here. We're making basically, kind of the suggestion to run Fortune Favors the Brave here, because it's going to give you additional pack size, which again is going to make you get more Simulacrum Splinters and more rares and all sorts of stuff like that. You're going to use the Mirror of Delirium still, and then any 3 usable compasses. But what makes it a little bit different this league is that Abyss is actually so much more powerful that you're going to be getting so much more juice from it that it actually makes it so that you have too many monsters to slay, and the Delirium Mirror actually runs out. So you do need a pretty good build for this. You need a build that can slay monsters quick and get through those abysses and make sure that you aren't falling behind your mirror. And because of that, we've actually spec'd into points over here, which give you additional time on your mirror here. And of course, if you need to, you can also spec into these as well and take some points out from somewhere else. But overall, if you can manage this tree, it's going to be probably one of the best Delirium trees you can roll with. Now, in terms of loot, you're going to be getting all the usual stuff. You'll be getting the Delirium Orbs that the Delirium Orb farmers need, as we mentioned earlier. You can get them and sell them to them. But in addition to that, you'll also be getting Simulacrums, which you can sell to other players as well as a bit of other good loot as well. So mainly though, your loot is going to be Delirium Orbs and Simulacrums, as well as, some other miscellaneous loot from the mirror, and of course your map. You are running basically on all these strategies Searing Exarch after all. And the Searing Exarch drops a ton of loot just by himself by virtue of being a really overpowered mechanic. So that's basically where we're going to be at. The Abyss and the Breach is pretty much just there to fuel your Delirium, and you're basically just going to be having it there for the Simulacrum Splinters. Alright, so that is the Delirium Mirror. You guys can check that one out. I think it's going to be pretty good, but definitely much more difficult than in the past. So be wary, but it is a pretty big opportunity if you can take a hold of that and run it. Alright, next up we have Breach, the new kid on the block. This is a strategy that was not previously viable and is brand new this league. Okay, so this strategy is essentially going to revolve around the following. You're going to be doing it on the Dunes map because it takes advantage of the new ability to open multiple breaches at once. So you can have basically 1 or maybe 2 or maybe even 3 breaches on the go at once if you're really juiced out, and it's going to allow you to clear the map much faster because there is going to be a lot of breaches on your maps. So the aim of the game is essentially to clear these things as fast as possible while also having a Chayula compass on it, which converts all the breaches to Chayula. Now, Chayula splinters aren't worth a ton, but you get so many of them that you're going to have bulk Chayula stones for days. You'll be able to bulk sell them to people who are farming the field, and they buy them all at once. They may only be 20C, but you get a ton of them. That's the idea. Overall, that is going to be the approach there. But in addition to that, you're also going to get a ton of Skin of the Loyals. Now, these Skin of the Loyals can go for a absolutely absurdly high price. Now, you might be thinking all uniques go down in price. Well, not this one. This one is a hot topic for double corruptions and single corruptions to get +1 or +2 gems. In addition to that, you can also use Blessings of Chayula to roll it into a pseudo chase item, because when you do that, it has a random keystone on it. So people buy up correct color Skin of the Loyals, and they basically slam on all of these blessings to them, which you also drop in your maps to get Skin of the Lords, which have the correct keystone on them for them. Now you can engage with any sort of, you can go ahead and do the blessing slamming yourself, or you can just sell the Skin of the Loyals. Overall that is up to you. But you're going to get a divination card that drops that item, in addition to actually just dropping that item off Chayula themselves. Get all the breach stones on top of that, and also you're just getting a ton of monsters. So your map sustain is going to be pretty good. You can sell the maps as well. That goes for all these strategies, and it's going to be pretty damn nice. Let's dive into the passive tree real quick. Okay, so you're blocking pretty much every other mechanic to maximize your chances of getting as many breaches as possible. That is a thing, and it is something you should be doing. And then you just take basically every breach node on the tree, as well as Beyond. So Beyond is actually a pretty good and synergistic mechanic with breach, because there's just so many monsters. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of monsters per breach with this strategy. Thousands per map of breach monsters that you'll be slaying. So you're pretty much going to cap out the Beyond counter and spawn the boss every single time. And if you can do it and you're confident with it, then you're going to be having a pretty good time with it, and it will give you a ton of tainted currency. That's going to be pretty damn good for you. Obviously, if you can't handle the Beyond, take it off. But if you can handle it, it's going to substantially increase your profits and not really cost you any additional time. Now, you probably do need a pretty damn good build for this, because you're going to be slaying multiple Breach Lord bosses that deal massive chaos damage per map, and maybe even multiple of them at the same time. But it is a pretty fun strat and a pretty interesting one. If you want to give it a go and give it a whirl, it might be worth a look. The tree is there and the setup is there as well. Next up, let's move on to low investment. All right, we got Expedition, but a new flavor of Expedition that doesn't use any scarabs. So this is a twist on their traditional Expedition tree. This is one that has been run by Crouching Tuna extensively, and essentially it uses the new keystone Growing Hoards. Now, Growing Hoards is a fantastic keystone for Expedition due to the fact that Expedition scales fantastically with pack size. The more pack size you have, the more runic monsters you're going to have, and those are what drop the logbooks as well as the reroll currencies. And that's really where all of the money comes from Expedition, as well as also the kind of Expedition artifacts. So getting as much pack size on as possible is the aim of the game. And in addition to that, you also basically have a close to 70 to 80% chance to roll the Expedition in every single one of your maps without even having to use a scarab, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's going to make it so this is actually one of the better low investment strategies on the table right now. So in terms of the actual setup, you're going to want to either roll this on Dunes or Strand. There's probably other maps that you can run as well, but this is kind of the go-to in terms of our opinion. And overall for the scarabs, you want to use whatever you can get your hands on as the cheapest rusted scarab. Essentially what these scarabs say, due to the Growing Hoards passive here, is that each scarab is 5% increased pack size. Now this is pretty great, because not only is this going to increase your Expedition juice, it's also going to increase your Exarch juice, which is going to give you more currencies, more sextants, more making orbs, more everything. So this is a pretty damn synergistic strat, and you can even, if you wanted to, augment this tree further and put in Harvest instead of Essence if you wanted to go down that route. But Essences are just so damn hot right now, and they're so damn expensive that, right now we're recommending Essence, and I think overall it's going to be a pretty damn solid strat. And if you like Expedition and you don't really want to spend a big amount of money on your investment, this might be a strategy to check out. And overall I think it's going to be pretty damn nice and pretty damn low investment and pretty damn chill. So overall, definitely a pretty nice one there, picking up all the Expedition nodes as expected and on all the Essence nodes as well. To quickly go over the setup a little bit more, you're going to be using Fortune Favors the Brave as well on Kirak, because it's going to give you more pack size as well, and maybe it'll even give you a mechanic which is pretty favorable for you, but mainly the pack size and the quantity is what you're after there. It's well worth the cost. In addition to that, you're going to be wanting using any 4 usable sextants. Basically, again, you're rolling the sextants, you're getting the profit from the good ones, which you can sell to other players, and then you're getting all of the free monsters from that rolling session. So pretty damn nice, highly recommended. Next up on the docket is Blight, a fan favorite, one that everyone seems to be doing this league. Is it still good? Absolutely. It's still pretty good. You know, it's definitely getting pumped and dumped right now, but it is still a pretty damn nice one. So we'll quickly take a look at the setup. So we have Blight on Toxic Sewer here. Toxic Sewer is a fantastic map for Blight. In addition to that, you can also Horizon into it. It's a 1 in 4 chance of horizoning into a Toxic Sewer on any T16. So you basically get infinite maps by virtue of just running any T16. It's great. And then in addition to that, you're going to want to use either a Polished or a Gilded Blight Scarab, as well as 3 Sacrificial Fragments. The Sac Frags give you an increased quantity to your Blight chests, so it's absolutely great to have them on there. It's also going to increase your loot from the map. On Kirak, quantity as well, you know, kind of stacks on top of what we were just saying. And then over here, we're actually running one compass, and that is the Smuggler's Cache compass. Heist right now is completely insane. It gives you a ton of just everything, and it is one of the best mechanics to run right now on low investment mapping. So it's actually something I'm doing right now for a lot of my money. Basically, the heist nodes are just absolutely bonkers. They allow you to get a ton of deception contracts, a ton of blueprints, and those sell quick and hard and very expensive on TFT. Now, obviously, if you don't like selling on the Forbidden Trove, or you just don't like selling Heist, you know, maybe you could respec this into Essence and it would be a much better time for you. Go ahead and do that. But Heist right now is hot. It's definitely one of the biggest money makers right now in low investment. And if you do go ahead and do that, it's going to be huge money alongside your Blight and basically no extra time cost at all. So definitely highly recommended. Of course, we've got our big boy Exarch here. And then overall, the tree is, you know, as you would expect. We've blocked all the mechanics to make sure that we get as many smuggler stash as possible because they just really are that good. And if you want the essence route, you'd want to block them all as well to get as many essences as possible as well. To kind of round out the setup here, you know, you want to put on 3 of any usable compass as well. Again, our tree has Science, it has Enduring Focus, so you can get your hands on that there, and it is going to be good. You're going to be able to roll those texts in for the big money. You know, in terms of what you're actually selling for Blight, I forgot to mention this in Expedition. Expedition, you sell logbooks as well as using the currencies on the vendors to get, you know, currency of 2gen, more logbooks off of Danig, and you know, overall that's kind of what you're going to do for Expedition. But for Blight, you're selling oils. Mainly, you're selling oil extractors if you don't know how to use them, or you're extracting more oils if you do know how to use them. And then in addition to that, you're also selling blighted maps. Now, blighted maps are pretty damn cheap, but you can sell them in bulk fast. In addition to that, the oils sell at a pretty nice price as well, so I'd recommend selling, you know, crimson, gold, silver, you know, black, all of that. You know, it's pretty damn good to sell, and you should be definitely selling them if you can to make up the monies. All right, next up, obviously also with the Blight, you're going to sell the Heist stuff as well. All the essences if you go down that route. Next up, we have Heist Essence. So this is actually my favorite Atlas strategy right now on this list. It's actually the one I've been running for quite a lot of currency recently over the past few days. And that is because it is the fastest strategy, which makes the most money in my opinion, which synergizes the best for Sanctum. So Sanctum is something which I really, really like running. And I just wanted to make sure that I was making a ton of money in my maps while also getting access to Sanctum as fast as possible. And that is this strategy in a can. All right, let's take a quick look at it. So we're running Heist and Essence. Now, because we're kind of struggling a little bit with the map sustain because we don't have a true lead mechanic in the map, you know, like, okay, Heist and Essence, they don't add any monsters really. So then we're not going to have any really crazy map sustain. We're going to do a ping pong strategy. So what is a ping pong strategy? Well, let me explain it to you guys. So a ping pong strategy is essentially leveraging the fact that there is a bunch of nodes on the Atlas passive tree which say that they drop a connected map. So see here, it says 2% chance to drop from one monster in the map to drop a connected map. In addition to that, the boss of the map and other monsters in the map just have a higher chance to drop a connected map. So overall, if you're running a singular focus strategy like this one, if you have one favorite as a connected map, so in this case we have Lair as our primary map, and then we're favoriting Canyon as one other map here, you can see, bing, it's going to give us a ton of Canyons and a ton of Lairs because we're running Lairs and then Canyon is connected, and then we're running Canyons and Lair is connected. So you get a ton of map sustain there, and it's actually possible to sustain maps with basically close to 0 investment in monster count, which is you know, pretty damn fantastic, and it's definitely one of my favorite ways to play, and it just makes the maps so fast because there's no legions, there's no expeditions, there's no blight, there's nothing to do, there's just essence to click and chests to click, and you get a ton of money for it, and it's really, really great. Now, in terms of actually what sells here, well, we're gonna have to dive a little bit more into the detail here, and there'll be a video on this coming up, but anyway, we're gonna be running on Lair Canyon, as I said, no scarabs required, you're gonna be using no Turek mod, just use the quantity one, 2 compasses are required, Smuggler's Cache, as well as Essence. Now, these two are where all your money comes from, essentially. So with all the nodes on the tree for Heist as well as Essence, you're going to be getting a ton of blueprints and contracts and rogue markers. And then obviously you have all the Essence nodes as well on the tree. Let me just actually pull up the tree that we're talking about here. Where is it? We'll just pull up another one, I guess. We'll take a look at here. So on the tree, there's a ton of obviously the Heist stuff, but the main nodes I want to bring your guys' attention to right here are these ones here. So 20% chance to get a remnant of corruption on your essences. Now, in general, you've got one essence per map, okay? Which is, kind of like baseline, and then you have a natural chance to get more essences. It's about 0.5 to 0.6% chance to get another natural essence. In addition to that, we're also taking Stream of Focusness here, which is actually in the trade. Just forgot to add it there. That's on there now. And that's going to give you even more essences. And then you're taking the Compass as well, which is going to add an additional essence. And it should be around roughly 2.5 to 3 essences per map. Now, what's cool about the Compass is that it also says that it actually adds a remnant of corruption. 50% chance to add a remnant of corruption. So you have a 70% chance for all your essences to have a remnant of corruption on them. Now, what's cool about remnants of corruption right now is that they are roughly 2.5 to 3C each. And that's because they are used by people running the Einhar memory. You can see here in bulk, they're worth a ton. And people who are running that Einhar crystal memory need these because they want to corrupt every single essence they come across because it's big money for them. And they're willing to pay you for it. So you can sell bulk remnants of corruption for massive money. Now, this compass specifically is very powerful with the node which echoes the essences. I believe it's this one here. Yeah, Crystal Resonance. Monsters with shrieking essences essentially are duplicated. So all of those monsters with essence on them are basically going to have the corruption remnants on them, and then they're going to get duplicated. So you get around 4 to 6 remnants of corruption per map. Maybe you get 3 if you low roll, but overall it's generally around that ballpark. That's 9 to 15C per map, and that's not even including the essences, which are insanely overpriced right now. So it's a pretty damn nice strat. In addition to that, you obviously have your high stuff, which you can sell on TFT, and overall it's a pretty damn nice low maintenance strat, which synergizes perfectly with Sanctum. So that's going to be that strat there, guys. Link there for the actual trade there. Next up, we have Boss Essence. So this is basically a simplified take on Heist Essence. If you don't like selling the contracts, you don't want any of that garbage, well, this is the strat for you. It's essentially the same thing, but it now is going to basically focus more on speed, man. Everything's about that speed. So you can choose to use the Layer Canyon tech if you'd like, but you can also use the Toxic Sewer favorite tech, which is essentially going to be basically you can run any map, which is going to be really, really nice. Basically you're gonna have your Toxic Sewer and have no favorites at all because you don't take singular focus because it would block out your super duper juicy boss maps. You're gonna basically run your Toxic Sewers, and then when you run out, you're gonna have tons of T16s in your stash because you got the Void Stones, and then you horizon them all into Toxic Sewer again, and then bam, you just go again, and you're gonna get all the Conqueror maps, all the Synth maps, and you're gonna be able to sell them for a fortune. In addition to that, you still have your super overpowered Essence stuff, which we talked about before, and that is gonna be the general gist of the strat, guys. So that's basically all I've got for you guys at this stage. I'm sorry if I made a few mistakes talking about that, but there was so many to cover. Hopefully you guys are excited about this kind of a project that we're undertaking here. I think it's going to really be helpful throughout the league to kind of be able to log in, know a cool farming strategy you can either pivot to or use as your primary strategy overall. And I think it's going to be a pretty useful resource. Now, what to expect coming up? Well, we're going to test each of these individual strategies, 100 maps of each. Concatenate the data. You're going to have all the data here and have it live tracking as we mentioned. So you can expect the actual profitability of each of these strats to be here in the future, and you can use it as a bit of a ballpark figure of how good it might be for you if you can clear the strategy as fully and complete as we do in the video. So in addition to that, it's highly likely that there's going to be some additional guides here in terms of video content, as well as maybe even some written guides ASAP from maxroll.gg, which I'm writing up myself on these guides, so you can check them out as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and it was helpful. If you do like this kind of content and you want to see more of it, make sure you check the thumbs up. If you got any feedback from me, or if you didn't like the video, chuck a thumbs down and a comment, and I'll try and improve next time. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys then next time. Bye.